guys, and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. Now today I want to show you how to make this stunning yet very simple post box cake topper. Now he has been made from Rice Krispie treats. I would highly recommend this cake topper for a beginner baker. Great for your Christmas fruit cakes. I have placed it on a cake dummy just to give you an idea of what it would look like, but it is actually on a cake drum, so it can be moved. Really simple to do. I take you through everything step by step, everything you need to know like usual. If you like what you see, please do subscribe to the channel and let's make a start. To make this absolutely adorable Christmas cake topper, it is actually relatively simple. I have on here some of the basic ingredients and equipment you are going to need. I am making this cake topper using Rice Krispie treats. The rule to Rice Krispie treats is relatively simple. So for every 100 gram of Rice Krispies, you use double the amount of marshmallows. So here I've got 200 gram of marshmallows weighed out to every 100 gram of Rice Krispies. I am off camera going to melt down these marshmallows in this pan here, which you can see has got some butter in. If you place some real butter, I'm not talking about margarine, it needs to be real butter, into the pan and heat these on an extremely low heat, they will melt beautifully without burning. You just need to constantly stir with a wooden spoon. Colour wise, when it comes to your actual fondant, obviously the main colour is going to be red. We're making a post box, and I also have some jet black. I'm going to be using some white to create a little snow effect. I'm choosing to place my post box on a 4-inch round cake drum. This just means that this can be placed directly onto the Christmas cake. And it can also be kept as a keepsake if your customer chooses not to eat the actual item itself. We also have here a rolling pin. I've got a very sharp scalpel, very fine, just to cut out a few shapes, and a 7cm circle cutter. I've just finished melting the marshmallows, and this is the sort of consistency that you are looking for. You then just simply want to pour in your Rice Krispie treats and give it a really good stir. Now remember, these marshmallows are sugar and they are extremely hot, so just be careful and bear that in mind. Once you have mixed them together, this is the relatively simple part but extremely messy. You need to take your round cutter now. You want the serrated edge to be faced up, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my fingers and push down the Rice Krispie treats to get some lovely circles that are quite thick. To do this, you need to do it while your Rice Krispie treats are still warm. Maybe let them cool down slightly, because sometimes working with those hot marshmallows can really burn. But if you place, I'm using stalk here, just normal margarine this time, onto your hands, it will help you work with these because they are extremely sticky. So all I'm doing here, I'm placing them directly into my mould. A bit more grease, as you can see they're already starting to stick. Pushing them down. And then simply lift up the cutter. I'm just going to place some grease on my work surface. If you want to, you can always do this on baking parchment and push it out. But remember, these marshmallows are still warm, so they will very easily lose their shape. Now you're going to repeat that process again. I do this in my frozen castle cake tutorial to actually make the towers. So even if you're not making this topper, it's a great technique to make little towers for your cakes that are completely edible. So you get the idea what you need to do, and then all you do, these don't need any glue or anything to stick them together because they are so warm and still very sticky. You literally stick them on top of each other and build them up into the size that you want your post box to be. So I'm going to continue to do this and show you what it should look like afterwards. This is what you're aiming to achieve. You can see how it's kept its shape lovely, and the longer it has to cool down, the more sturdy it will become. Now, unlike my Santa hat cake, which I can leave a link for you in the description below this video, I want my post box to be really smooth. So I have made a small amount of buttercream, and you simply want to take a knife and just go around the sides and be very, very generous with it. Now, I also have a recipe for my buttercream, which I can also leave a link for you in the description below this video. You don't have to be smooth with this, you just want to get plenty on, and the idea is just to fill in all of those gaps, and then it will also act like a glue when we place it in the fridge for the buttercream to set for the fondant. So you can see I'm not being neat, I am literally just shoving it all over my post box. I'm not concerned about the top or the bottom, because that's going to be covered with snow and you're not going to see the bottom. But you'll notice here I have some cling film. Now, this method I developed myself, but it's so easy. You want to just wrap it around the cling film first and push it down. Because now my hands aren't getting sticky, the cling film's protecting it. Roll it up a little bit and get some scissors and just snip off the excess cling film. Now this is how I get my towers on the frozen castles smooth, and it's also how I'm going to get the post box nice and smooth. Because this buttercream is lovely and soft, it's just going to manipulate itself into shape. It's going to get into all those nooks and crannies that you've got on your Rice Krispie treats, and you literally just roll it. Now it is going to leave some finger marks, so that's when you get both ends, tighten it up and you don't use your fingers. See what I'm doing there? That is going to be one extremely smooth post box. Now I'm just going to snip off one of the ends so that it can set in the fridge upright. I'd recommend leaving this in the fridge for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we're going to start decorating it. Now we want to roll out our lovely Renshaws Poppy Red fondant. I'm choosing to use spacers. If you've never watched any of my tutorials before, this will just keep your fondant exactly 5mm thick, but it's not a necessity. Because we are covering the post box, I want to roll it first into a sausage shape, roughly the same height as the post box. I'm then just going to use my spacers as a guide whilst I'm rolling it out. We're going to keep this in a rectangle shape the best we can. So just take your time rolling out your fondant like so. And if it starts to get a bit thick, just like it has there, I then use my spacers just to push it in slightly and try and keep these edges really straight. I have just flipped my fondant over so that all the icing sugar can actually go on the inside rather than the outside. I have a small amount of edible glue on the end of my brush, and simply just brush part of that where you have cut that lovely sharp line. I'm just going to move the spaces out of the way now. Lifting up, and see how lovely it's gone. The buttercream's still relatively soft, which will also act as a natural glue. Place that onto your fondant, and then, just like I do with the Rice Krispie Treat towers, you literally just roll until you get to the starting point. Once you get to the starting point, which is just there, you are going to need to cut some off. Pull away gently, and then getting your sharp knife again. Don't cut off too much. Remember, you can always go back to it because we want to try and get a nice seam down here. Roll it close and then just pull your fondant together. Just so we've got a lovely seam down here. Now, because again it's so sticky, red fondant, I'm going to place on some icing sugar. And this is where we really smooth it out properly. You're going to do just what you did inside that cling film. But this time with all of your fondant on there, smoothing it out. And then get it exactly how you want it. Don't worry about all the excess icing sugar. You can either steam this away or just use a brush. And what you want to do on the top is to just pull in that fondant. Now I'm going to have snow on the top of my post box, so this doesn't have to be completely covered. Very simple. All I've done is covered my 4-inch round cake drum, as you can see, with some white fondant. Now I'll make that look more snow-like later, but if you just pick up your post box and try and place it relatively central. If you don't want to cover your cake drum, you can always leave it and then you can put snow on there later. So the next part is to start adding the intricate details to this. This is what you want to be ending up with. Now this rim that we have will be getting covered up. And I need to try and make sure that you can see what I am doing, but also what's on here. So with the leftover poppy red Renshaw fondant, I have simply rolled out 3 long sausage shapes. This one is slightly thicker than the other 2 because I want to use it as a rim around the top of here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to line it with where my other rim is, where the fondant met. So if you just pick up your long piece of fondant, now I have steamed this, that's why it's looking slightly glossy, but because it has been steamed, it will act like a natural glue. The next job is the snow. Taking some of your white fondant, just simply roll it into balls. Now this is still sticking nicely. You might want to use some edible glue. You want all of the balls different sizes and you literally cover all of it. Doing this, different sized balls, just put one ball on top of another until you keep building it up and up and up and up, and I will finish this off and show you what you're aiming to achieve. And that is the result you are looking for. Doesn't it look amazing? And we haven't even added those finishing touches to it just yet. I'm just going to move this to one side. Bear in mind, you can add as much or as little snow as you want. I absolutely love Christmas. I love snow, so I've added quite a lot. What I'm going to do now, I want to turn a very small amount of our jet black fondant into modelling paste. This is just going to make it a lot easier to work with because we need the rim for the base that we're going to be cutting out, and obviously our letterbox for the top. So I've already taken some out of a packet that I have just here, and to turn it into modelling paste, it's really easy. You're going to need something called Tylo powder, or you can use gum trag. Now normally I would say add 1 level teaspoon of Tylo powder to every 250 gram of fondant, but I'm not using a full packet. We are not going to be using as much today. So just to place a small amount on a spoon place it onto your fondant, and literally just to turn this into modelling paste, to make it easier to work with, you just knead it in. It really is as simple as that. So you don't ever have to buy modelling paste again now. You know how to make your own. That's lovely. Now we just want to take a small amount, and first of all I'm going to roll it into a sausage shape. Now I'm going to wrap it round just to check that it's big enough. And then we're going to use our rolling pin to make sure it's flat and cut a nice shape out of it. That's more than big enough. So that is the length we want, and it's a good indication and a good way to get the right amount that you need. So I've just rolled this out. Now you don't want it too thin, but you do want it thin enough. What I'm going to do now to make it much easier just to cut that perfect line, using a plastic ruler, I'm just going to push down into my modelling paste. Now this might not cut perfectly, but that's where your sharp knife comes into play. It's just going to give you a line and where you want to trim it off properly. Now we want our little letterbox just up here. So again, I haven't put this back in the bag yet, because now we can just cut out our letterbox freehand. How adorable is this looking? Great for the top of your Christmas fruit cakes. I'm just going to add a few more very simple features, and then I will show you the finished result. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get a bit more white fondant and again turn it into modelling paste to put on a little panel just here, and then using a paintbrush I'm just going to paint on it. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, you could leave it like this. I am also going to roll out a few more of these balls just for the base, and then we will have our finished Christmas post box. How stunning and effective does that look? If I just give him a little swirl for you, you can see how all the sides are covered now. All I did off camera was add some more snow, an extremely easy method. I just got some food colouring and a very fine brush for the lines on there. Really simple cake topper. If I just place this to one side, this is a cake dummy that isn't covered. I'm hoping you can see a little bit better and the effect it has if you imagine it on a Christmas cake. Okay, so you would obviously dowel just underneath here because there's quite a bit of weight. Place it on there with the cake drum so you're not actually damaging the post box. But this snow, once it's on your actual cake, you can make some more balls to cover the cake drum, or just go around it with some ribbon. Extremely versatile, a great Christmas decoration. Give it a try, guys. This is fantastic if you're a beginner baker. You've watched me all the way through and you've noticed that I haven't used much equipment. Happy baking, everyone, and I will be back soon with more tutorials.